You've probably heard about the Omicron variant, or at least I hope that you have. It's a new variant of COVID-19, and we're still trying to figure out exactly how terrified we should be, but we should at least know what's going on. So there's a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news, and I've been combing through as much of it as I can to try to figure out what's going on. Now, Dr. Angelique Coetzee is a doctor in South Africa. Was one of the, I believe, was the first doctor who flagged the Omicron variant. And her commentary so far has seemingly been aimed at getting us to calm down a little bit. She says that so far, the symptoms that she's seen, people who've had this variant have had more mild versions of COVID. Their symptoms have not been as serious. They haven't lost their sense of smell or taste. Didn't have a cough, which seems like a huge difference from traditional COVID. And so all of that is good news. She seems to be saying, don't freak out too much. But that said, others are. So the World Health Organization labeled Omicron a variant of concern last Friday. Countries across Europe, Asia, and North America have instituted a wave of travel restrictions on southern African nations, including southern African nations that have very low levels of COVID, in particular in comparison to us. So we could have a debate about how fair that is. It's not. But there is a new variant, and we don't yet know how terrified we should be about it. So that's a consideration as well. Now, Omicron, which is technically, and you'll never hear this again, the B11529 variant was first identified in Botswana and South Africa and has since spread to Israel, the UK, the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, the Czech Republic, Australia, I should say, Belgium, and Hong Kong. I do not believe that it has yet been found here in the US. So that is good news. In any event, some people are saying good news, some are saying bad news about how serious it's going to be and how big we can expect the response of the United States to be. The WHO says that there's a high number of mutations, 32 variations of the spike protein, that could mean that we're expecting future surges of this because it is more mutated than some of the other variants. Now, the good news is the NIH director said that the boosters, so the booster vaccines that we've been encouraging you to get, do in fact allow your immune system to have a wide range of capabilities against spike proteins it hasn't even seen before. So if you needed one more reason, if you're eligible, you should get boosted. So the boosters are going to protect you not just against traditional COVID and the variants that we've seen, also in South Africa. But also against ones that we haven't yet seen necessarily. Now, let's get into Dr. Anthony Fauci, because he has been making the rounds, doing interviews about this, trying to, partly educate people, partly calm them down, maybe. So we have a bunch of different things here. Some of this seems a little inconsistent. Let's work through it and see what we can figure out. He says we should not be freaking out. We should be doing the things we know work. It's not the time to panic. We should be concerned, and our concern should spur us to do the things we know work. So rather than panicking, rather than freaking out, we should just do the right thing. Okay, so what does that include? Well, getting vaccinated, getting boosted if you're already vaccinated, probably, like social distancing and those sorts of things. Now, he also pointed out that PCR tests do seem to detect the variant perfectly well, so our ability to detect it has not been hindered at the very least. He goes on to say, get vaccinated for those who are unvaccinated. Absolutely, get boosted if you have been. It appears to be spreading very readily. The things that we don't know right now is whether the people who do get infected have a severe form of disease, which I found to be an interesting thing to say. Well, look, at least the doctor we talked about in South Africa is saying it does seem to be mild. I guess, to be fair, one doctor's experience, we have a lot of reason over the past year to not necessarily take the word of any individual doctor. He says the profile of the mutation strongly suggests that it's going to have an advantage in transmissibility, and that it might evade immune protection that you would get, for example, from a monoclonal antibody or from the convalescent serum after a person's been infected, and possibly against even some of the vaccine-induced antibodies. And that's where it gets potentially a little bit scary. So look, we're going to be talking a little bit about natural immunity, which is being talked about a lot by the right. There's reason to believe that Omicron might not be hindered all that much by that, but even potentially by the vaccine. So that sucks. That's the last thing that we want, of course. But what we do want to know at this point is that the best defense we have is to be vaccinated and to get the booster. And that's it. And honestly, if that even marginally, let alone significantly, raises the chance that you'll be protected against even these new variants, it is hardly a difficult thing to ask for. So I've heard a lot of Republicans, many of which like to claim that they're alpha males over the past few years, talk about how, oh, there's always going to be another one. They're going to have you getting a booster for the rest of your life. Every year. Do you know what getting a booster is? You go to Walgreens, and 15 minutes later, you have a booster. Okay, what's the problem with that? Do you not go to CVS once a year anyway? Just do it then. You know what I did? When I got boosted, I got my flu vaccine too. Same time. That's it. I was gone. I got a bag of candy. It was kind of nice. It was my excuse to get a bag of candy. And then I was off, and I probably don't have to worry about it for 6 months. It's really not that difficult. These are people that love to talk about like how we should serve our country. You should go in the military. Like, you expect all of that? You won't get a shot every 6 months at a Walgreens? Pathetic.